Welcome, everybody, to the third edition of Chicks with Dig, brought to you by Boxing Asylum. I'm your host, Matt DiGelinardo. Just going to check in with you here for a few today and do a little bit of a preview of some stuff that's going on here. We didn't have a whole lot going on the last couple of months, so I didn't pop in for a show in June, but we'll review a little bit of what happened over the last couple of months since the conclusion of that exceptional fight between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. We did have a fight in Scotland with Hannah Rankin getting a 10th round TKO over Alejandra Ayala, sending Ayala to the hospital in the process of that. Hopefully she is recovering well. Crazy when those things happen, but Rankin moves forward with her 154-pound belt. You never know if she might be something going on there for a chance at the Shields Marshall winner. You never know, up or down. We'll talk about that later. Also, you had Jessica McCaskill absolutely beating the crap out of Alma Ibarra over 3 rounds. Ibarra could not take anymore, was in her corner, begging to not go out again. She said she just wanted to go home and be with her child, and they allowed her to do so. McCaskill really showing herself to become a more vicious puncher as she's gaining in confidence. I'd be curious to see what challenges lie ahead for her as the undisputed welterweight queen. Also, Chantel Cameron tanking a UD over 10 rounds over Victoria Noelia Bustos. Bustos not providing much in return whatsoever. What we're looking at with Cameron, other than, maybe going up from McCaskill, never know. But what we might really like from her would be a unification with Kelly Reese. So we're looking forward to seeing if they can get that to go. 122 pounds, Marilyn Rivas was able to get a stoppage herself over Karina Fernandez, defending her WBA belt. Also in that division, Seoline Lafeve taking a 10-round decision over Melania Serrano, defending her WBO title over the Spaniard. Possibility of Rivas against Lafeve, you never know. 118-pound scrap between Julian Luna Avia taking a UD10 over Jessica Gonzalez, defending her WBC belt in the process. Is that a future opponent for Ebbs? You never know. Still wondering if that fight with Shannon Courtney might get off for the rematch. Ebbs has been on the shelf, nothing scheduled since her win of the title back, what was that, February, March. 115 pounds. Clara Lesconte took a split decision over Maribel Ramirez, keeping her WBA belt in the process. Also in that division, Lourdes Juarez taking a UD over Deborah Vanessa Gomez. In what I'm going to call the junk fight of the show, we're going to add this in every once in a while. I just got to tell you that a defense over an opponent who is 7-7-2 is part of the reason why people look down on women's boxing. We got to do better than this. 7-7-2. Come on. That's junk. Also in the 115-pound division, Tamao Ozawa pulling an upset, lifting the WBO strap from Mio Yoshida. So it'll be interesting. Can any of these 3 fighters find a way into a unification with each other? That would be fantastic. Closing it out, 112 pounds, Gabriela Celeste Elanes taking a TKO in the 7th round over Tamara Elizabeth DeMarco, defending her WBO strap in the process. I'd have to say my performance of the last couple months was definitely be Jessica McCaskill. She was a favorite, pretty big favorite, but not as wide as you see in women's boxing. Against Alma Ibarra, Sergio Mora saying against the fight that he wouldn't count Ibarra out. She's a naturally bigger fighter, good reach advantage, and McCaskill just got in her chest and beat the crap out of her, made her quit. So you got to hand it to Jessica McCaskill. Want to see her in another big fight. And hopefully that will happen in the near future, because she is a talent, that's for sure. Gotta love what she's accomplishing. Now we got some good stuff going on over the next couple of months here. I think we'll get a show in before the big one, but we'll see. On the 29th of this month, interesting 108-pound fight. I believe this one was scrapped and then rescheduled. Yesenia Gomez going to Canada to defend her WBC strap against Kim Clavel. Clavel, decent amateur background, undefeated in the pro ranks, seeking her first title. Also on that day, for an atomweight fight, we're going to go over to Kosovo with Fabian Batiki taking on Elizabeth Lopez Carzo. Batiki putting up her title as well as her undefeated record against the 10-4-4 Carzo, who interestingly, Corso had 3 consecutive draws in 2016. You're not going to see that very much. It definitely should be an easy win for Batiki at an atomweight, which obviously isn't in the men's ranks, only in the ladies' ranks. But she has not fought at atomweight since 2019. Her strap going undefended for about 2.5 years. So we'll see if she makes that weight comfortably. Otherwise, could be an interesting night for her in Kosovo at what I believe was the Bill Clinton Auditorium. So there you go. Also, we're going to be having Amanda Serrano coming back shortly after that fight with Katie Taylor. Staying active. Gotta love it. Going back down to featherweight to defend her straps against Brenda Karen Carbajal. In Carbajal, a little bit undersized, maybe a little bit underpowered. She won a majority decision in her last fight to get the interim strap against a much smaller opponent. See if Serrano can get back in the KO category on this Jake Paul undercard. I believe it's going to be Jake Paul against Hasim Rahman Jr. now. That's going to be pay-per-view. That might be a tough one to pay for, but you never know. I do love me some Amanda Serrano. Let's see here. Alex Blotti wants to know if I wore Transformer pajamas. I do not. I generally sleep in boxer briefs, Alex, but I appreciate that question there. Thanks also for James Windsor for joining us, keeping the chat full. James, love you, buddy. Appreciate your continued support of the Asylum in all of its forms. Let's see here. Also, on August 13th, on the Oscar Rivas undercard from Colombia, Cecilia Brækhus looking to get back in the title column against Patricia Bergot at 154 pounds. Brækhus has not fought since she lost to McCaskill. So we'll see about that one. Could be an interesting scrap. 154 pounds coming from Colombia. And then what is going to be very exciting at 10th of September, I believe. Going to have a nice double billing with the GWOAT. Clarissa Shields going up against a woman with a win against her in the amateurs, the knockout queen herself, Savannah Marshall. Big unification at 160 pounds here. Also on that, going to have Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgardner unifying the IBC, WBO, and WBC belts. I believe only Hyun Mi Cho might have a belt there left over at 130. This is a good fight between Mayer and Baumgardner. Great double billing. This is a great night for women's boxing from the UK. Baumgardner putting up her power against Mayer and her boxing abilities. Mayer, she is a very, very solid fighter. I do wonder if she can go 10 with Baumgardner. Baumgardner really been laying on the leather lately. Curious to see if she might be able to walk down Mayer. I do expect Mayer to be a favorite in this fight, though. I'm definitely looking forward to this one a lot. And I think if it goes to decision, I think you're going to see Mayer take it. But if there's a stoppage, it's got to be in Baumgartner's direction. But this should definitely be 20 minutes of exceptional action, all leading up to a rematch from the amateurs. The GWOAT going up against Savannah Marshall. I've been trying to track down that amateur fight. I'd be curious if anyone might be able to provide me that that footage. But I'll tell you what really caught me off guard was watching Shields get beat in an MMA fight. Not all, yeah, I mean, you can understand she's not as well of a trained MMA fighter, but the way that she kind of struggled with distance a little bit, with her opponent struggling for the name, using the perimeter oftentimes, and then the way that Shields got muscled up a little bit against the cage and stuff. Marshall, I think she might be able to rough her up a little bit, and I think when she's not doing that, she's going to be able to use her length, land that jab, land that right hand behind it. And the question is, how much can Shields get done at that mid-range? That's definitely where she likes to operate at. She can throw some really good shots in there. We all know she's not the biggest puncher. Punches well enough, gets respect. She gets a little pushy inside with those shots. Is she getting a little with the arms? And as we all saw with Savannah Marshall in her last fight against Femke Hermans, when she gets in close, she might miss with that right hand, but she leans over and she comes back with that left hook, and it's a dangerous, dangerous punch. I believe Marshall's on a run of, something like 8 or 9 straight KOs. So this is going to be an interesting fight. I made the mistake in April of going with the puncher against the boxer. In 20-minute fights, I think that definitely tends to show. I did think that Amanda Serrano might have done enough to nip that fight, especially if you scored the sixth, what was it, the sixth, fifth, 10-8. But I have no real dispute. It was a close fight. On this one, though, I think I'm going to go with the puncher again. I might regret that, but I just think that the loss in MMA for Shields kind of penetrating her personal feeling of invulnerability, going against someone on a hell of a knockout streak who also has that win in the amateurs. It's hard not to go with Marshall on this one, isn't it? And the odds makers are barely in favor on this one of Marshall. It'll be interesting to see if this one goes the distance. If it goes the distance, can Marshall outbox Shields over the course of that time? It's a good question. And these are why these are the fights that we need, where it's up in the air and it's not huge wide odds against some 15-10 chick that's bounced around the weights. No, this is a real fight, and so is Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgartner. Excited for both of these, putting on a heck of a card. Going through some comments here before we bounce. James Windsor thinks Sabrakis is pretty, but that she's finished. You could be right. You could absolutely be right on that one. But you also hope that the GWOAT smashes up Marshall. I'm surprised by that one, buddy. Alex Belade says, Mayer is a class boxer, but Alicia is pure power. Her legs are massive, and she generates big power. Deech wants to get in there and say hello. Deech, hello, my friend. I'm sure we'll see you on tomorrow as well. Let's see here. Alex Belade says, do you agree that the 2-minute rounds could give Shields the edge like Taylor was a beneficiary of the same versus Serrano? That is definitely a thought in my mind. But what's kind of held me back a little bit was watching how Shields struggled to try to get close in an MMA fight. I mean, I know the kicks are a different thing. So I'm a little bit less concerned about it for this fight than I was for the Serrano fight because I think that the potential is there for Marshall to outbox the GWOAT. I really do. Um, Big A wants the GWOAT's wig to get pushed back, literally. Let's see here. Yeah, and Big A says Marshall is just not just a puncher; she's a nice boxer as well. And yeah, that's the story of it, I guess. Is Amanda Serrano is definitely more of a come forward fighter. She definitely has all sorts of creases in her game, and she wrinkles. Excuse me. I don't know why that came out that way, but she's definitely more of a come forward fighter. Whereas you have an extensive amateur background with Marshall and a good stick, good straight punches, but she also has the hook. So I'll tell you what. Um, yeah, I think we're going that way. I hope to get back with you folks again for another episode of Chicks with Dig before these fights, and we can do some reviews of these. Like I said, that the Yesenia Gomez Kim Clavel fight in Canada, that's an interesting fight for me as well. The return of Amanda Serrano on that Jake Paul undercard, see if she can get out back to her knockout ways. All that is interesting to me because I hope that is leading up to that rematch with Katie Taylor from Ireland. I know that's a pain in the ass to make with Ireland politics, their bans, etc., etc. Hopefully, we can get past that. But until that time, y'all enjoy the fights. I think we're all getting ready to watch us some Pulev Chisora action here in the next couple hours. But you folks have yourselves a fantastic week ahead, and we will see you on the regular show tomorrow, and we'll probably see you next month for another edition of Chicks with Dig. I'm Matt DiGianardo. You folks have a good one.